Hello and welcome to the Complete Podcast Network. I'm Anthony Wilson, recording from Los Angeles, California. On today's show, USC improves to 4-0 with a win over Michigan State. Clayton Kershaw announces his retirement, and Mike Trout hits his 400th career home run. Let's get to it. So, last night at the Coliseum, USC beat Michigan State 45-31. They're up 24-10 at the half. Scored the first possession of the second half to go up 31-10. And Michigan State scored two unanswered touchdowns to cut it to 31-24. USC came back with two unanswered touchdowns of their own to make it 45-24. And the final, as I said, was 45-31. Jayden Maiava threw three touchdowns and ran for two more. Wayman Jordan had 18 carries for 157 yards. Eli Sanders had 13 carries for 84 yards. Makai Lemon had 8 catches for 127 yards. He had one receiving touchdown and also one touchdown on the ground. USC was without Jacoby Lane, whose status Lincoln Riley said after the game is inconclusive and uncertain going forward. So no guarantee that Lincoln said that he'll play next week at Illinois or even in the coming weeks. And the Illinois game is a big one. It's going to be the big noon kickoff next week on Fox. It's going to start at 9 a.m. Pacific time out there is that Champaign, Illinois, or Illinois play? I think it is. So, yeah, man, USC, they just continue to play well and look like a well-oiled unit out there, a complete unit in every phase of the game. Jayden Maiava now has thrown. Sorry, he has 13 total touchdowns that he's accounting for throwing and running, and no turnovers, I believe, through 4 games. Certainly no interceptions. And I would say at this point, there's no. I don't. I mean, I think it's probably a little. It's a little too early so far. I would say still just a bit too early to make a real like Heisman ranking. But I would say after next week, that's when people will start having those type of conversations. And if they go to Illinois and beat Illinois, who got the doors blown off of them last night or yesterday at Indiana, so they look a little less. It looks a little bit less daunting now after the way that Illinois just lost. But so if they go in there next week at Illinois lost 63-10 at Indiana. Illinois came in this weekend ranked ninth in the country, and they got blown out by number 19 Indiana. So if USC is able to go in there next week, as I said, go to Champaign and take care of business, they go to 5-0. And if Maiava plays well again, as he's played well in every game so far, you're going to start hearing his name in those conversations. I think that'll start next week, um, whatever the case may be. So, yeah, man, UFC, like I said, bro, and I was worried because, you know, when the season started, I looked at the schedule, and I said, this is not the most. I felt like last year was the more difficult schedule. You look at it this year, and it's really not that. I mean, on paper at least, it's really not that intimidating of a schedule. And I looked at it and said, well, they should be able to get to at least 8 wins, right? They started with a couple, easy games just to get their feet wet and get themselves going against Missouri State and Georgia Southern. Last week on the road at Purdue, um, took care of business. This last night against Michigan State at the Coliseum, took care of business. Uh, then it'll be Illinois. Then it'll be Michigan, but Michigan is not. Michigan not what they were under Harbaugh. We almost had them Almost got them last year at Michigan. This one will be at the Coliseum. Notre Dame just got their first win of the season, so they're 1-2. But that'll be at Notre Dame, and Notre Dame is still a dangerous team. They played for the national championship last year. Then it'll be at Nebraska, in North. Then it's Northwestern. Then it's Iowa. That's at the Coliseum. The Northwestern game and the Iowa game are at the Coliseum. And then it's Oregon. That's at Oregon. Okay, that'll be a tough one. And then it's UCLA to close the season. UCLA, one of the worst teams in college football, and that's at the Coliseum. So I mean, and it's actually what's crazy that the schedule's looking easier, actually, probably as the season goes on, because now Illinois got blown out. Michigan's not that, intimidating, and that's going to be a home game. Notre Dame is 1-2. So I mean, God, you look at the schedule, bro. That's why it sucks that you know that Jacoby Lane, if he misses, it's like just when everything is starting to go right, something goes wrong. Jacoby Lane gets hurt. Illinois is gonna be pissed off next week and gonna be looking to get back on track, and they're gonna be at home. So if Jacoby Lane is not out there, uh, it, it it's going to be more difficult just on the basis of the fact that they're going, on the road against a team that's going to be ticked off and looking to get back on track. So uh, it sucks when it seems like that happens all the time. Though. Just when the path seems to be opening up and things are looking really good, something bad will happen. But they didn't really. I mean, they didn't miss Jacoby Lane today. They run the ball so well. Like I said, I've said a few times. Uh, They don't have the same depth at receiver that they would have had if not for the losses they took to the transfer portal. And Deuce Robinson and Kyron Hudson and Zach Branch were all top either first or second on their new teams in receiving. Uh, so if we still had those guys, man, you'd be looking at that. Shoot. You'd be looking at this. You'd be like, damn it, can you see, run the table through the Iowa game? That's how you be feeling about it. But as it stands, uh, you still have to feel pretty confident. But you see, one thing you notice is that these lines, I think USC was a 20.5-point favorite last week at Purdue and a 17.5-point favorite this week. Next week, the line is they're only a 4.5-point favorite. So that should tell you something like that. But I do think the lines and how sizable they are with USC being favorites the last 2 weeks, it tells you something about the bettors feel like, this is a good USC team. So uh, we'll see what happens, and Makai, I'm just talking about Makai Lemon. Trying to think about who he reminds me of. He's going to be a first-round pick, no question, in the draft coming up. I think he reminds me of Amon-Ra St. Brown. There was a play where USC sent him in motion and got the ball to him on the move coming out of the backfield. And I think that's the type of stuff that the Lions do with St. Brown. Of course, St. Brown went to USC as well and is one of the best players in the NFL right now. And I think they have similar size. Brown Makai's listed as 5'11", 195. St. Brown at 6 foot 202 pounds. But though Makai looks bigger on the field, honestly, like a little thicker. He's just a hell of a player, and I can't wait to see how he fares in the league. And so before I move on, I want to say something about a bit of a delay there at the end of the second quarter because of the injury to Wayne Matthews III. He suffered an injury. Stop for more. I'm reading here from the ESPN. I watched it live, but I'm reading here from the ESPN report from the AP. It says the game was stopped for more than 10 minutes, felt like longer, while Michigan State linebacker Wayne Matthews left the field, was stabilized and transported on a cart after he got hurt while tackling Wayman Jordan 42 seconds before halftime. Matthews gave a thumbs up to his teammates before being driven away. Um, yeah, so I kept waiting as I was watching to see him give the thumbs up, and I never saw it. And it was like a really somber tone in the Coliseum, and in the booth, RG3 was the color man. So it was good to see that he gave the thumbs up. Hopefully he's fine. This game of football, man, is every time you go out there on the field, you're taking that risk, and that's the reason that I never really. Everybody wanted me to play football, and I just, I went out. Well, the reason I ended up not playing is because, when I went out there freshman year of high school, football is a grind. You have to really be passionate about football to want to play it. And I get out there, man, and it's hot, and the coaches are screaming at me and stuff like that. I'm like, bro, I'm just not built for this. I'm more of a, I'm a thinker, a scholar, an intellectual. you know, like we just even the front, like just getting up and like we had to walk to practice. I went to Daniel Murphy High School, and we would practice down the street from the school at Pan Pacific Park. Uh, Pan Pacific Park is like like the Grove is right across the street, literally. So we used to practice there, and I remember, man, even the part of having to carry your pads to practice just for that. It's not even that long of a walk. It's like I was. I mean, I was just. And if I could go back, bro, I guess I just really was a big wimp back then. A big wimp, because I just wasn't. But like I said, bro, it's hot and it's out there, especially when the season starts, because it's September, it's hot, and it's just a grind that I wasn't built for. And then the other thing about it was that I didn't. I was always afraid that something bad was going to happen. You know, and I think that you know situations like last night, and it's amazing that more bad stuff doesn't happen the way these guys are out there, colliding into each other. Um, they're very lucky, but I guess you train yourself for that sport so that you can take your body can take those blows, you know. So, uh, yeah, shout out to um, Wade Matthews, man. Again, yeah, I hope he makes a speedy recovery. All right, so before I transition to baseball, I just wanted to quickly say something about this kid, Taylon Green, from Arkansas. Uh, Arkansas, they won the first two, and now they lost. They lost two in a row. They lost to Ole Miss last week, and they lost to Memphis uh, yesterday. Um, I had money on Taylor Green on his rushing yards. I played his Goblin. Um, I played his Goblin, um, and he went over the Goblin, but he didn't go over the. Um, he didn't go over the main line. Um, but I still was able to cash the Goblin and get some money back from the slip. But he's somebody who had I forget who I tell that was Zach Roberts played him yesterday. But he's someone his name has come up. Like I said, betting wise, and yesterday was the first time I actually got to watch him. And boy, does he pass the eye test. Now he threw a couple interceptions yesterday that really helped contribute to them losing that game, Final score was 32-31. He also threw 2 picks against Arkansas State, but that wasn't a competitive game. But yesterday he really, really cost his team. But like I said, bro, if you just look at him, 6'6", 224 pounds, he looks like a statue out there. Uh, I almost felt like, man, this guy like a more polished Cam Newton. You know, I think Cam was 240, 250, even in Auburn. So this guy not as physically like strong and physically dominant, but same height, and the way he just stands back there and throws the ball, man, he looks better than Cam did throwing the ball. And then of course as a runner, he had coming off back-to-back games where he had 151 yards rushing against Arkansas State and 115 yards rushing against Mississippi. So yeah, the tools are there, man. I just gotta get a little bit better decision making. But he's definitely someone to watch out for in the draft coming out. He's a senior. It's his second year at Arkansas. Before that, he was at Boise State. So yeah, very talented kid, and somebody to keep an eye on. But yeah, they're only 2-2, which sucks because he'd be in the Heisman. And he still has a chance if they start winning some games. But they're now 0-2 in the 2 real games that they've played. So that's not really good. But yeah, I just wanted to say that he's just somebody to keep an eye on. All right, now let me transition into baseball. Clayton Kershaw announced his retirement this week. Obviously, one of the greatest pitchers in the history of Major League Baseball. One of the greatest Dodgers ever. Probably say on the Mount Rushmore of greatest Dodgers ever. And one of the greatest athletes, in the history of Los Angeles sports. Really, you're talking about somebody who, over 18 seasons now, 450 starts. The man has 222 wins against 96 losses, a 2.54 ERA. He won 3 Cy Youngs and was a runner-up twice. In 2014, he won the Cy Young and the MVP. He made 11 All-Star games. Per Alden Gonzalez of ESPN in his write-up on Kershaw's announcement, his 2.54 ERA is the second lowest among pitchers who accumulated at least 1,500 innings in the live ball era, which is since 1920. His .698 career winning percentage tops all pitchers with at least 200 victories since 1900. His .590 OPS against is the lowest among those who debuted over the past 70 years and racked up at least 2,500 innings, slightly ahead of Nolan Ryan, Pedro Martinez, and Bob Gibson. So, geez. Anytime you say you're even slightly ahead of Pedro Martinez and Bob Gibson and Nolan Ryan, that's saying something. So we're talking about one of the greatest pitchers of all time. The wins, 222. But this is an era where guys don't get to 300 wins anymore. 250 is basically the new 300 in this era. So can't knock him for that. My favorite thing about him is that from age 21 to 29, he had a 2.25 ERA and won 70% of his starts. And from ages 30 to 37, he had a 2.91 ERA and won 71% of his starts. He's had 13 10-win seasons, and his peak was 2011 to 2017. his average season, he went 17-6 with a 2.1 ERA, and that's when he won the period where he won his 3 Cy Youngs. So yeah, just a remarkable player, an athlete, pitcher. Now, of course, the knock on Kershaw is uh, his his postseason record, which the knock is valid in that regard. Uh, his postseason career only a 500 record, 13-13, with a 4.49 ERA, and that's in 39 postseason games, 32 starts. Obviously, you pitch a lot of postseason ball because the Dodgers have been in the postseason pretty much since he, you know, near his whole career. The Dodgers have been a postseason team during every single season. So, he's had plenty of opportunities in the postseason, and he's had a lot of moments that I know he wishes he could take back. But in the end, he won the one. He won the one in 2020. Now that was in the COVID year. I don't even know if they called it a bubble in MLB, but there were no fans and only a 60-game season. And then of course last year, they won a full season World Series, but Kershaw didn't pitch in the postseason. So regardless, a remarkable career, a champion, a two-time champion for the LA Dodgers, Clayton Kershaw. And as I said, one of the greatest pitchers in history. As Dave Roberts said, the best pitcher, definitely the best pitcher of this era. There have been other greats, Justin Verlander and guys like that, but they didn't have the same peak. Maybe somebody like Verlander a little bit more durable, and I think that's another part of the reason that Kershaw's total wins, and it's similar kind of, I think, to Pedro Martinez in that sense, or in that way. I think Pedro got to like the low, exactly how many career wins Pedro had. But Pedro was a smaller guy. Kershaw was a big guy, big lefty. But he had some durability concerns in the second half of his career. But his peak still, and like I said, even in the back half of his career, age 30 to 37, he's still sub 3 ERA. So even as his stuff declined, his stuff was so nasty in his prime that even when it inevitably fell off a little bit, he was still a really, really good pitcher. Just didn't have, as I said, the same durability that he had in his prime, where he was his prime years match anybody who's ever played the game. So just salute to Kershaw on the Hall of Fame career, and I'm just glad that I'm worried because in the last few years there was always the rumors that he might go and finish his career with the Rangers since he's from Texas. And I'm just glad that I'll never have to see Clayton Kershaw pitch in a uniform other than than a Dodger uniform. That's something to celebrate. He played his whole 18-year career with the Dodgers, as it should be. So, yeah, salute to Clayton Kershaw. Now, across town in Anaheim, Mike Trout hit his 400th career home run. But I just want to say something because Trout he's 34 years old now. Him getting to 400 as quickly as he got to 300. For him to just now be getting 400, you damn near think he'd be closer to 500 by now. But things have really, he's fallen off, quite frankly. Of course, Kershaw. So from 2012, Mike Trout from 2012 to 2018 His average was, per season was 146 games, 310 average, 34 homers, 90 RBIs, 26 stolen bases, a 9.1 WAR, and a 1,000 OPS over those 7 seasons. Um, and you know, he was amazing, right? And that's when people compare him. People say this is he might be the best player to ever play. And then in March of 2019, so after that 2018 season, he signs a deal 12 years, $426.5 million. At the time, one of the richest deals, even now, I guess. But in terms of total value, at the time, I think it was the richest or maybe the second richest. Um, he signs that deal, right? Now, so the year after that, he plays 134 games. He bats 291, 45 homers, 104 RBIs. He leads the league in on base, slugging, and OPS. And that was the last time he won MVP. He's won 3 MVPs. Ever since then, right? So in 2020, that's the COVID year. 53 games, he bats 281, 17 home runs, 46 RBI. So at that point, you're thinking, okay, this is still um, Mike Trout. This is still the best player in baseball. But ever since then, right? So since 2021, he's only averaged 67 games per season, and his splits have been a 276 average with 19 homers, 39 RBIs, only 3 stolen bases, a WAR of 3, 951 OPS. This year he's actually played 124 games, but only batting 229 with 22 homers and 59 RBIs. Last year he only hit 220. So, I mean, his fall off has been rather spectacular for someone who was so good to start his career. And I know it happens to, I mean, it happens to most of them, right? Like, it happened to Junior Griffey. It happened to, I would say, but Albert Pujols, I would say, of course, his best years were in St. Louis, and then when he got to the Angels, he wasn't the same as he was in St. Louis, right? So it happens pretty much inevitably, unless you're, Barry Bonds or somebody like that. But it has been disappointing to see, and you just wonder if he got the money because it's like the injury is like more like nagging, like ticky tack injuries. But it does kind of make you wonder if he got the money and decided, well, you know what, he got rich and stopped trying, right? Um, because he just hasn't been the same player, really. Uh, like I said, first couple years after the contract, he was still the best player in baseball. So maybe I shouldn't slander him too hard. But since 2021, that's 5 seasons now where he hasn't been the same. So I don't know. I just feel like he got all that money, and all the money, the check is going to clear no matter what. Whether he plays or doesn't play, whether he bets 220 or 300. So it just sucks, man, because it's somebody who could have hit 600, home runs or something like that. And now that's probably not going to happen, man. You know, um, and he still has many years left on the deal. So like halfway through the deal. So it's like about another 6 years or so of him. I saw where it said he was the player said that it was the worst contract in the league or something like that, and it is. You know, Angels don't win anything. He doesn't play, or even when he does play now, all he does is just He's become somebody who's just all he does is hit home runs. And he's not even hitting home runs at the rate that he used to. But, over there in Angel Land, it's like it doesn't matter. That's why Tony got out. That's why Tony got out of there. He wanted to play for a serious franchise, you know. Um, so, just yeah, congrats on his 400th homer. I'm sure he'll still get to 500. With the years he has left on his deal, he only get to hit like about 20 homers a year, or something like that. Uh, I mean, that's how it. If he has 400 to get to 500, that would just be 20 homers a year uh, for um, for 5 years. I'm not sure if he has 5 or 6 years left on his deal, but either way, right? But hell, you never know, bro. That would be like the craziest. We gotta remember, Junior Griffey still got the 630 home runs. You know, would it be crazy if Mike Trout didn't get to 500 home runs? It'd be like the greatest fall off in the history of baseball. You know, he's a Hall of Famer no matter what because he has 3 MVPs. But it's really amazing. The Angels are so buried over there in Anaheim that nobody really bothers to talk about it. It's like it doesn't even matter. But yeah, man. Before I get out of here, just a reminder to hit that subscribe button next to the Complete Podcast Network and to follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at TC Pod Network. You can also send feedback and mailbag questions to CompleteLakersPodcast at gmail.com. I am out.